Welcome to the deep dive, where we cut through all the noise and just get straight to the fascinating stuff.
Absolutely.
And today we're going to be exploring a link you might not expect between autism and the role of AI in education.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we've got three sources that we're going to be kind of diving into. We have a research paper from way back in 2005.
Okay.
We have a recent study on how AI is being used in adaptive learning. And then we're going to take a look at, the future of education with something called multimodal AI.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah. So are you ready to dive in?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Let's start with that 2005 paper. It's called Attention, Monotropism, and the Diagnostic Criteria for Autism.
Okay.
And what really stood out to me right away was that one of the authors, Wendy Lawson, is actually autistic herself.
Oh, wow.
So having that firsthand perspective, woven into the research is really powerful.
Yeah, I think that's so valuable. I mean, it brings a depth of understanding that you don't always see, in academic research. And the concept that they introduced this idea of monotropism, I think is a really interesting way of thinking about autism.
So can you kind of break that down for me? What exactly is monotropism?
Sure. So imagine your attention as like a spotlight.
Okay.
Most people have a wide beam, right? You can shift your focus between different things pretty easily.
Yeah.
But with monotropism, that spotlight, it narrows considerably. It's like this intense, almost laser-like focus on a particular interest.
So instead of having, a lot of different interests, someone with monotropism might just have a few, but they're completely absorbed by them.
Exactly. And the paper argues that, this intense focus can actually explain some of the social and communication challenges that are often associated with autism.
Right.
Think about it. If your attention is completely captivated by a specific interest,
Yeah.
it can be hard to also pick up on social cues.
Right.
Or engage in like the back and forth of a conversation.
It's almost like trying to talk to someone who's totally engrossed in a book.
Yeah.
They might not even notice you're there.
Exactly. And there's this really great personal account in the paper from Wendy Lawson where she talks about her passion for bird watching.
Oh, wow.
And she says, "It's as if I am tuned in to watching out for the birds. If a bird flies past over or in front of me, catches my attention immediately. It doesn't matter what else is going on within or without me. My interest is the birds. I can watch them for hours, and during this time, I am in a state of intense joy. Sometimes this intensity makes me cry."
You can just feel the depth of that focus, right?
Right.
That complete absorption in the experience.
And that's what's so important about the monotropism model. It's not just about deficits. It's about highlighting the strengths that can come from this kind of intense focus.
So it's about recognizing that it's a different way of thinking,
Yeah,
different cognitive style.
absolutely. It's like, think about the incredible attention to detail that some autistic individuals demonstrate in certain fields like coding, music, or art.
Right.
Their ability to hyper-focus allows them to master complex systems or create with this incredible level of precision. I mean, that's really powerful.
Yeah, it's not just a challenge. It's a different way of experiencing and interacting with the world, one that can lead to remarkable achievements.
And it's about, recognizing and valuing neurodiversity. Understanding that there are different ways of thinking and learning.
Absolutely.
And that all of those can contribute to society in meaningful ways.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it highlights the need for educational approaches that are more flexible and individualized.
Like really tailored to the individual.
Exactly. Approaches that cater to a wider range of learning styles and needs,
Which actually brings us perfectly to our next source, but we'll dive into that after a quick break.
That's good.
Okay, so we were just talking about the need for more flexible learning, right? More individualized approaches.
Right.
And that's where our next source comes in.
Okay.
It's called Bringing Generative AI to Adaptive Learning in Education. Now, I've heard a lot about, AI in education, but I'll be honest, I'm not really sure I get what adaptive learning actually is. Well, it's a pretty simple idea, really.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine a learning experience that adapts to you as you go.
Okay.
Almost like having a personal tutor.
Right.
Who tailors each lesson,
Yeah.
To your needs and your pace.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So where does the AI part come in?
Well, this paper is specifically talking about generative AI.
Okay.
Which is this type of AI that can create new content.
Really?
Yeah. So think about tools like ChatGPT.
Oh, yeah.
You give it a prompt, and it can generate text images, even music.
Wow.
And it's surprisingly realistic.
So it's not just analyzing data that's already there. It's making new stuff.
Exactly.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So how does that apply to education?
Well, there's some pretty exciting applications. I mean, one is personalized content creation.
Yeah.
Imagine a system that can generate like custom learning materials on the fly.
Wow.
So it's responding to a student's specific questions
Uh-huh.
and adapting to their level of understanding.
So it's not just a static textbook anymore. It's
Well-
like it's constantly evolving
Yeah, it's like a textbook that rewrites itself.
to like match how you're learning.
Exactly, to match your exact learning needs.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's not just content though, right?
No, it goes beyond that.
Okay.
I mean, generative AI can also power these intelligent agents
Okay.
or virtual tutors
Okay.
that can provide real-time support and feedback.
So it's like you're not just getting the right answer, you're getting help to understand.
Exactly. You have this AI coach that's available 24/7
Wow.
to answer your questions, give you hints,
Uh-huh.
and adjust the learning path based on how you're doing.
That's incredible. And there's another application too, right?
There's another one that's really interesting.
What is it?
Gene AI can actually simulate learning experiences.
Simulate them. What do you mean?
So it can generate these synthetic data that mimics how different students might learn.
Oh, wow.
So researchers can test out new teaching strategies
Okay.
and refine these adaptive learning algorithms.
It's like a virtual lab,
Exactly.
but for
Yeah, they can run all sorts of experiments
Wow.
without having to actually involve students.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So they can figure out what works best.
Right. They can test the effectiveness of different approaches,
Mm-hmm.
identify potential problems.
And then optimize the learning experience before it gets into the classroom.
Exactly.
That's incredible. It sounds like generative AI could really personalize education
Yeah.
in a way we haven't seen before.
It has that potential.
But does it replace teachers?
No, not at all. It's more about augmenting their role.
Okay.
It's freeing them up from those more routine tasks.
Right, like grading and stuff.
Exactly. Grading content delivery.
Yeah.
So they can focus on those higher level interactions with students.
Right, so more mentorship and guidance.
Exactly.
It's more collaborative.
Yeah.
It's like teachers and AI working together
Uh.
to figure out what's best for each student.
That's the idea.
I can see how this could be really transformative, especially for students who maybe struggle in a traditional classroom. You know, what really strikes me, though?
What's that?
This whole adaptive learning concept.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of the idea of monotropism.
That's a really interesting connection.
Right.
Yeah, when we talk about customizing education
Uh-huh.
to individual needs and learning styles,
Yeah.
monotropism becomes really important.
Because if we want to create learning experiences that work for different ways of thinking,
Yeah.
we have to understand and embrace the strengths that come with something like monotropism.
Exact.
It's not about trying to fit everyone into the same mold.
No.
It's recognizing that different brains learn differently.
Right.
And maybe we can use technology like AI
Yeah.
to create learning environments that are flexible and responsive.
Uh-huh. To those differences.
So instead of looking at monotropism like something to be fixed,
Right.
we can see it as a strength
Yeah.
and use AI to create learning experiences that play to those strengths.
Absolutely. It's about moving away from that one-size-fits-all approach
Right.
and embracing the diversity of human thought and learning.
That's a really powerful idea, and it makes me even more excited to explore our final source,
Yeah.
which dives into the future of education with something called multimodal AI.
Right.
Are you ready to take another leap into the future?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we've talked about monotropism, we've talked about how AI can personalize learning, and now we're going to jump into our final source.
Okay.
It's called Multimodality of AI for Education Towards Artificial General Intelligence.
Wow, that title is a mouthful.
It is, but it hints at some pretty fascinating concepts.
Right.
This multimodality in education, it's about moving beyond traditional textbook-based learning
Yeah.
and engaging with information through multiple senses.
Okay.
So not just reading about something, but also hearing it, seeing it, interacting with it, maybe in a virtual environment.
Yeah, so it's like a more immersive learning experience.
Right, exactly. And this paper argues that multimodal AI is a stepping stone towards something called artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
Okay. AGI. That's where it starts to sound like we're in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, I know, right?
So what exactly is artificial general intelligence?
Well, it's basically the idea that a machine could understand, learn, and apply knowledge
Uh-huh.
across a wide range of tasks, just like a human being.
Okay, so like a super intelligent computer that can solve any problem.
Right, basically. And while true AGI is still, probably a ways off,
Yeah.
this paper suggests that multimodal AI is a crucial step in that direction.
Okay, I see. So by developing AI systems that can process and generate content across different modalities like text, graphics, audio, video,
Right.
We're essentially creating systems that can interact with the world in a more human-like way.
Exactly. So instead of just understanding text, an AGI system could understand images, sounds, even physical sensations.
Wow, that's pretty mind-blowing. And what does that mean for the future of education?
Well, think about it. You could have a virtual learning environment that responds to your voice, your gestures, even your emotions.
So it's like a video game, but for learning.
Right. Exactly. It's about creating a truly personalized and immersive learning experience.
Where you can't even tell the difference between the real world and the virtual world.
Right. And the paper gives some pretty cool examples of how this could actually work.
Okay, like what kind of examples?
Well, one example is using AI to analyze video recordings of classroom interactions.
Interesting.
So it could give feedback to teachers on their teaching strategies.
Oh, wow. So like it could tell them when students are engaged or not.
Exactly. It's like having an AI assistant that can observe and analyze those subtle cues that a human observer might miss.
And could it also be used to create personalized learning games?
Absolutely. Imagine a game that gets harder or easier depending on how well you're doing and gives you personalized feedback along the way.
That would be amazing. It's like having a video game that's designed just for you to help you learn.
Exactly. And remember, we talked earlier about how AI could make education more accessible for students with disabilities.
Right.
Multimodal AI could play a huge role in that, too.
Okay, so
Well, one really promising application is in language translation. Imagine an AI system that could translate sign language into spoken language or vice versa in real time.
that would be incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make it so much easier for students with hearing impairments to participate in the classroom.
Exactly. It's about using AI to break down barriers and create a more inclusive learning environment for everyone.
So we've come a long way. We started by talking about how autistic individuals learn. And now we're talking about how AI can create a more equitable world for all learners.
It's amazing to think about all the possibilities that AI offers for the future of education.
And this is just the beginning, right?
Exactly. We're only scratching the surface here.
As AI gets more advanced, I can only imagine what the future of learning will look like.
So to everyone listening out there, keep exploring these ideas. Keep asking questions.
Yeah.
And keep imagining the possibilities because the future of education, it's really in our hands.
You know, maybe one of our listeners will be the one to create the next groundbreaking AI tool for education.
I love that idea. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.